It's the OCR GCSE Maths Higher Tier Calculator Paper 6 from November 2023. Let's get straight into it. Question 1. Beth completes some jigsaw puzzles and records the following information: the number of pieces and the time taken to complete. Beth shows this information in a scatter diagram. Part A. Beth completes 2 more jigsaw puzzles. Show this information on the scatter diagram. The 3,000 piece jigsaw puzzle taking 460 minutes. Start off at 3,000, go up to 400. There's 5 gaps between 400 and 500, so each gap is worth 20. Count down from 500, 480, 460. For the second one, a 1,300 piece. This is going up in hundreds, so 1,300 is over here. Taking 320, go up to 300, and just one more would be over here. Describe the type of correlation shown on the scatter diagram. As one increases, the other one is increasing, so this is going to be a positive correlation. Part B. One of Beth's jigsaw puzzles was described as the most difficult jigsaw puzzle you will ever try. Circle the most likely jigsaw puzzle on the scatter diagram. That would be this one. You can see it's taken a lot longer to complete this one compared to others with the same amount of pieces. Give a reason why you chose this jigsaw puzzle. You can say this puzzle is taking longer than similar puzzles with the same amount of pieces. Part C. Draw a line of best fit on the scatter diagram. So I'm going to draw a straight line going through the middle of all of those points. And it would look something like this. Use your line of best fit to estimate how many pieces are in a jigsaw puzzle that takes Beth 500 minutes to complete. So we're going to read along from 500 minutes and read down. And we can estimate that that puzzle would have around 3,300 pieces. Part D. Explain why Beth should not use her scatter diagram to estimate how long it will take to complete a jigsaw puzzle containing 8,000 pieces. Taking a look at this graph, we can see it only goes up to 5,000. 8,000 would be outside of the data given, so we can just write 8,000 pieces is outside of the data set. As the data just goes to 5,000 pieces. Question 2. A restaurant menu has 4 main courses and 3 side dishes. For their meal, each customer chooses 1 main course and 1 side dish. So we can choose 1 from here and 1 from here. Work out the percentage of possible meals that cost less than £8. We're trying to find all the meals that cost less than 8. Let's first think about all of the combinations that we could have. So the first one that I'm going to look at is these veggie burgers because it's the lowest price. I've got veggie burger and I'm going to write garlic bread first and then salad and then chips. So salad and then chips. The next one I'm going to choose is turkey. I'm going to do the same order: garlic bread, salad and chips. Garlic bread, salad and chips. Bread, salad, chips. Garlic bread, salad and chips. So this is my turkey stews. The next one I'm going to choose is my beef burgers. And the last one will be lasagnas. I've chosen to do this just so that they go up in ascending order, so it will make it easier to compare later on. Veggie burger and garlic bread is 5 plus 1, which is 6. Veggie burger and salad is 5 plus 2, which is 7. Veggie burger and chips is 5 plus 3, which is 8. So you can see why it's made it a little bit easier. Next, I'm going to do my turkey. So I've got 7, 8, 9. For beef burgers, I've got 7, 8, 9 again. And for lasagna, I've got 8, 9, and 10. Let's highlight all of the ones that are less than £8. So I can't choose 8. I need to make sure that they're less than 8. How many of those do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 out of 3, 6, 9, 12 possible combinations. That would simplify to 1/3, and that is the same as 0.33 or 33.3 recurring percent. Question 3. Write these numbers in order of size starting with the smallest. I can see I've got percentages, I've got fractions, and I've got numbers in standard form. Let's convert these all to decimals. To convert percentages into decimals, I need to divide by 100, so that would become 0.0036. For this one, I can use my calculator just doing 1 divided by 333, which gives me 0.0030. This is already a decimal. This one is in standard form. This negative is telling me how many zeros are at the start of the number. I've got 3 zeros, 1, 2, 3, and I need a decimal there. And then I'll have this 3, 1. and now I can order them. It'd be good to write these above each other so we can see them a little bit clearly. So I've got 0.0036, 0.0030, 0.03, 0.0031. I can see the smallest number is going to be this one. The second smallest will be this. Third, this one, and largest will be that one. So we need to write the original numbers, not the decimal versions. So 0.0030 was 1 over 333. That's that one done. Then 2 is the standard form one, 3.1 times 10 to the negative 3. Third is this 0.36%. And last, it's 0.03. Question 4. Casey's mobile phone gives a weekly report showing the amount of time they use their phone. This week, the report says the phone was used for 217 minutes, and it was 24% more than last week. Calculate Casey's phone usage last week. If this is 24% more than last week it was 100% of phone usage, and it's 24% more this week, which is the same as 124%. If we change this into a decimal, we could write this, dividing this by 100 gives us 1.24. So this 1.24 is being multiplied by something to give us this. All we need to do is divide both sides by 1.24, and we get our answer. 217 divided by 1.24 is 175. And if you wanted to check this, you can multiply this by 1.24 and you should get 217. Question 5. A sheet of A4 card weighs 1.19 times 10 to the negative 2 kilograms. Work out the weight of 500 sheets of the A4 card. I'm going to change this standard form number into an ordinary number. This tells me how many zeros there are at the start. There's 2 zeros with a decimal there, 119. I need to find 500 sheets of cards, so I multiply that by 500. Just type that in, so I get 0.0119 times by 500, which gives me 5.95. Part B. Card is classified using W, the weight in grams per square meter. W is equal to the weight in grams over the area in square meters. That's just the formula that we're going to be using here. A sheet of A4 card is a rectangle that is 21 centimeters by 29.7 centimeters. This is in centimeters, but if we take a look at this, it's in meters. Calculate W for this A4 card. W here is the weight in grams, and the weight in grams was this multiplied by 1,000, because this is in kilograms right now. So I'm going to do 0.0119 multiplied by 1,000, changing this into grams, divided by the area in square meters. So I need to change this into meters. There's 100 centimeters per meter, so I divide both of these by 100. That would be 0.21. That would be 0.297. So I'll type all of this into my calculator and I get 0.0119 multiplied by 1,000, and that's being divided by 0.21 multiplied by 0.297. That gives me 190.796. 190.796. If I round this to 2 decimal places, I get 190.80. That's my final answer. Question 6. The area of this rectangle can be written as ax squared plus bx minus 10. Find the values of a, b, and c. Show you working. If I'm working out the area of a rectangle, I'm multiplying the base by the height. So I've got 3x plus 2 multiplied by x plus c. And this is going to equal ax squared plus bx minus 10. Here I can see the 2 multiplied by the c will give me negative 10. So 2 times by c is negative 10. That's telling me the c is worth negative 5. I'm going to erase this c and change it to a negative 5. So it will become x minus 5 in that bracket. I can expand this bracket out and then I can see what a and b will be. I'm going to multiply everything in this bracket by everything in this bracket. So 3x times by x gives me 3x squared. 3x times by negative 5 gives me negative 15x. Then I've got positive 2 times x, so plus 2x, plus 2 times by negative 5 is minus 10, which is at minus 10 as well. I'm going to combine these like terms. So I've got 3x squared, negative 15 add 2 is negative 13x minus 10. A is equal to 3, and b is equal to negative 13. So a is 3, b is negative 13, and c is negative 5. Question 7. Here are 2 functions. Function A, if I input this, I get an output. For function B, if I input, I get my output, and I can see both of them multiply by k. So I might need to be finding k here. 5 is input into function A. 5 is also input into function B. the output of function A is 10 times the output of function B. So this is saying this one is going to be 10 times larger than this one. Work out the value of k. So if I input this, what would I get? I got 5 times k, which is 5k, and 21 is just plus 21. 5 take away 1.5 is 3.5, and 3.5 times k is 3.5k. Because it's told me that this one is going to be 10 times bigger than this one, I can write them equal to each other, but I need to multiply the bottom one by 10. So 5k plus 21 is equal to 10 lots of this, 35k. I just need to solve this, so I've got k's on both sides. Let's move all my k's to one side, take away this 5k from that side and that side. That leaves me with 21 is equal to 30k. Divide by 30 on both sides. 21 over 30, which is equal to k. Just simplify this and divide both of these by 3, so we get 7 over 10. If you want to check this, you could swap this out with 0.7 or 7 over 10, and you should get an answer 10 times larger than this one. Question 8. The diagram shows 4 triangles that are joined together. Show that triangle CEF is a right angle triangle. So CEF is a right angle triangle. I'm assuming that this is going to be the right angle. Give a reason for each stage of your work and use a template below to help present your work. It says points A, B, C, and D lie on a straight line. A, B, F, and C, D, E are equilateral triangles. If I have equilateral triangles, triangles add up to 180, and each angle will be equal, so it's 180 divided by 3, which is going to be 60. So I can put these onto ABF, that'll be 60, that'll be 60, and that'll be 60. And then I can also put that onto CDE, that'll be 60, that'll be 60, and that'll be 60. Triangle BCF, so BCF is an isosceles triangle with BF equals BC. BF is equal to BC. Here I've got a straight line, so I can find this angle. 180 take away 60 is 120. The base angles of an isosceles triangle will be equal to each other. If I take 120 away from 180, leaves me with 60, so each of these will be 30. That'll be 30 and that'll be 30. This is a straight line, so all of these will add up to 180. I've got 180, take away 60, take away 30, which leaves me with 90. So that's proven that this angle is 90 degrees. So now we just need to write the reasoning for that. The first thing I did was figure out that the equilateral triangles were 60 degrees. So I'm going to put ABF is equal to 60 because angles in an equilateral triangle are each 60 degrees. Second angle that I found is this 120 because it's on a straight line. So FBC is equal to 120 because angles on a straight line add to 180. So we found this one. Then I found these two angles. So base angles in an isosceles triangle are equal. Angle FCB is equal to 30 because base angles in the isosceles are equal. I also knew ECD is also 60 degrees. ECD is 60 degrees because the same reason here, angles in the equilateral triangle are each 60 degrees. Last one, we can find FCE because we've got these two angles, we're just finding this missing one. So angles on a straight line again add up to 180. Angle FCE is equal to 90 because angles on a straight line add to 180 degrees. Question 9. A large box of chocolates contain dark milk and white chocolates. I've got dark milk and white chocolates. When Riley opens the box, the ratio of dark to milk to white is 3 to 2 to 4. 3 to 2 to 4. When Riley's family eat 6 of the dark chocolates, so they're going to take 6 away from there. None of the milk chocolates, so they're taking none away from here. And all of the white chocolates, so all of these whites. The ratio of dark to milk is now 9 to 8. How many white chocolates did Riley's family eat? So if I think about it, the ratio was 3 to 2 to 4, but we don't know how many of each there are. So we're going to write it as 3x to 2x to 4x. We know exactly how many they ate. They ate 6 dark, none of the milk, and all of the white. So they took away 4x from there. And now the new ratio of dark to milk is now 9 to 8. But if we think about it, the white ones are now 0. So I've got a ratio of 9 to 8 to 0. Because we know how many dark chocolates we start off with, 3x, and we took away 6, we ended up with 9 lots of something. I'm going to call these values y. So 9y and 8y. That's equal to 9y. For the milk chocolates, I started off with 2x, I took away 0, and it ended up as 8y. So 2x, take away 0, I don't need to write anything, is equal to 8y. How could I solve both of these equations? I can simplify the second equation by dividing both sides by 2, so I get x is equal to 4y. I'm going to divide this whole equation by 3 because I can see each of these numbers can divide by 3. So that would become x minus 2 is equal to 3y. Because I know x is equal to 4y, I can swap this x with 4y. So I'm just solving simultaneous equations here. Swapping that x with 4y, 4y minus 2 is equal to 3y. I'm going to swap these around, so I'm taking 4y away from both sides. That leaves me with negative 2 is equal to negative y, so that means y is equal to 2. Because I know what y is equal to, I can find what x is equal to. I'm going to substitute it into here. X is equal to 4 lots of y, 4 lots of 2, x is equal to 8. Now that I've found both of these numbers, I can substitute them back in, and I can see how many they started off with. 3 times by 8 is 24. 2 times by 8 is 16, 4 times by 8 is 32. So this is the amount that's it started off with. We want to find how many white chocolates did they eat. That's 4x, or 4 multiplied by 8, which is 32. Question 10, x and y are related by the equation xy equals 36. Tick the correct statement. Y is directly proportional to x, inversely proportional, or not proportional. Let's first think about the relationship between x and y. If x is 1, y is going to have to be 36, because 1 times by 36 gives me 36. If x is 2, y would have to be 18. If x is 3, y would have to be 12. If it's 4, that'd be 9. If it's 6, that'd be 6. And if it's 9, that'd be 4. So we can see as one is decreasing, the other one is increasing, and as one is increasing, the other one is decreasing. That would mean it's inversely proportional to x. If they were both increasing at the same time, then it would be directly proportional to x. Part B, y is inversely proportional to x to the power of 4. So we can write y is equal to, because it's inversely proportional, we'd write k over x to the power of 4. When y equals 2.5, x equals 2. So we can substitute both of these in and find the equation of this. Find a formula linking x and y. Let's substitute both of these in. So 2.5 is equal to k over 2 to the power of 4. What is 2 to the power of 4? I know 2 squared is 4. 2 to the power of 3 is 8. So 2 to the power of 4 is 16. I've got 2.5 is equal to k over 16. K is therefore going to be equal to 2.5 multiplied by 16. Just type that in. 2.5 times 16, which gives me 40. Now I know the value of k, I can swap this k with 40. So the final equation is y equals 40 over x to the power of 4. Question 11. The diagram shows a cone and a cube. The cone has radius 8 centimeters and height of 10 centimeters. The volume of the cone is equal to the volume of the cube. Both of these are the same as each other. Work out the length of one side of the cube. This is the length that we're trying to find. It's given as the formula for volume of a cone. So its volume is equal to 1/3 pi multiplied by radius squared. The radius is 8 multiplied by the height. The height here is 10. 1/3 pi. This simplifies to 64 times by 10, so 640. Type this into the calculator and see what we get. 1/3 pi multiplied by 640, which gives me 670.206. 670.206. So the volume of this cone is 670.206 centimeters cubed, and the volume of this cubed is also the same. How do we find volume of cubes? So we multiply the length by the width by the height. So that would be x times by x times by x, so x cubed would give me this number. So I just need to solve this equation. I can cube root both sides, that gives me x. Cube rooting this would leave me with 8.7512. Just round this to 2 decimal places, becomes 8.75 centimeters. Question 12. A cafe owner recorded information about customer orders for coffee. They recorded whether the customer asked for milk and whether the customer asked for sugar. Results are shown in the Venn diagram. One of the customers is chosen at random. Find the probability that the customer asked for sugar. All of this section is the people that asked for sugar. So there's 11 plus 18, which is 29, and all of the people altogether are 29 plus 25 plus 16. So that gives me 41. 41 plus 29, which would be 70. Final answer, 29 over 70. Part B, one of the customers is chosen at random. Find the probability that the customer asked for sugar given that they asked for milk. Because this is a given that they asked for milk, I'm going to look for the people that asked for milk first. So the total amount of people that asked for milk are these 25 plus 11, so it's going to be out of 36 this time. And we're looking for the people that asked for sugar. That'll be 11 out of 36. Question 13. The graph of y equals 3 to the power of something is sketched below. On the same axis, sketch the graph of y equals 2 to the power of x. One thing that you need to know about these types of graphs, they will always cross at 0, 1. If you have anything to the power of 0, it will always be 1. It's going to be a very similar graph, but it's going to just be a little bit shallower, so it won't rise as steeply as the other one. That would be y equals 2 to the power of x. Part B, Charlie sketches this graph. Charlie says, the equation of my graph is y equals sine x. Explain how you know that Charlie is not correct. If you know some of your sine values, sine of 30 would give me positive a half, and sine 30 would be somewhere around here. That means this graph doesn't start off correctly, it should look something like this. So the first part should be positive. Second part, write down a possible equation for Charlie's graph. Because he's drawn a reflection of the y equals sine x graph, let's just reflect the y equals sine x graph into his graph. So it would become y equals, because it's a reflection, it's minus sine x. It's a reflection in the x-axis, so the minus goes before the sine. If it was a reflection in the y-axis, it would go before the x. Question 14. Here's a right angle triangle. The area of the triangle is 100 centimeters squared, correct to the nearest 10 centimeters squared. Because I know I'm working with error intervals and bounds here, I'm going to write the error interval for this one first. The way I write error intervals, I start off with the original number, and I plus and I minus the limit of accuracy. This is telling me what has it been rounded to, and I divide that by 2. In this one, I'm starting off with 100, I'm plus and minusing 10 divided by 2, because it's been rounded to the nearest 10. So 100 take away 10 divided by 2, which is 5, would give me 95, that would be my lower bound, and the upper bound would be 100 plus 5, that's 105. And you can write it as the area is more than or equal to 95, or it's less than 105. I will do the same thing with the next one. The length of the base of the triangle is 8 centimeters, correct to the nearest centimeter. So this one, the original number is 8. We're plussing and minusing the nearest centimeter, which just means 1 divided by 2. So 8 take away a half is 7.5, and 8 plus a half is 8.5. This is for the length, and we just copy that bit out. Calculate the largest possible height of the triangle. How do we work out areas of triangles? We take the base, multiply it by the height, and divide it by 2. Because we're trying to maximize this height, I'm going to rearrange this equation so I've got height as a subject. So I'm multiplying both sides by 2, so 2a is equal to b times by h, and then h would be equal to, divide both sides by b, 2a over b. I want to maximize this value, so I need a really big number on the top, and I need a really small number on the bottom. I'm just going to choose which ones do I need. I need the maximum of a, so I'm going to do 2 times by 105, divided by the minimum of b, which was the length, 7.5. So 2 times 105 is 210. 210 divided by 7.5, which is 28. So the largest possible height could be 28. Question 15. Sasha and Taylor are asked to find how many solutions the equation 5 in brackets x plus 2 squared equals 45. Here's Sasha's answer, here's Taylor's answer. Decide who is correct, Sasha or Taylor, and give the reason for your decision. Let's go through the working. On the first line, we can see they've just copied out the question, so that's fine. The second line, they've divided both sides by 5, that's fine. On this line, they've square rooted the left-hand side, but they've not correctly square rooted the right-hand side. The square root of 9, you can have two possible answers. You can have plus 3 or negative 3. Taking a look at this one, they've copied out the question first, that's fine. They've divided both sides by 5, that's fine. Then they've wrote x plus 2 equals 3, or x plus 2 equals negative 3. So they've considered both the negative value and the positive value when they've square rooted that 9, so that would be correct. And then x equals 1 or x equals negative 5, that would be fine. So we can say Taylor is correct because the square root of 9 is positive and negative 3, not just positive 3. Part B, solve this equation algebraically, give your answer correct to 2 decimal places, show you're working. Because it's telling us give your answer correct to 2 decimal places, this is telling me that I need to be using my quadratic formula. Quadratic formula is minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Let's just find out what a, b and c are. So a will be the coefficient of the x squared, so a is 1, b is negative 5, and c is positive 3. Let's substitute all of these into the quadratic formula. So I've got minus b, need to be careful here because it's a negative. So it's going to be 5 plus or minus the square root b squared, negative 5 squared is 25, minus 4 lots of ac, minus 4 lots of 1 times by 3. So that's going to be 3. All over 2a. 2a is 2 times by 1, so 2. Just simplify this bit. I've got 5 plus or minus the square root of 25 take away 12. That'll be 13 over 2. I'm going to type all of this into my calculator. So I've got 5 plus the square root of 13 over 2. So the first answer is 4.302. We just want it to 2 decimal places, so 4.30 would be fine. I'm going to keep this in my calculator and I'll just change this to a minus and I get 0.6972. I want to round this to 2 decimal places, so I count 1, 2. This is telling me I'm rounding up. That will change to a 0 and that will change to a 7, so it will be 0.70. Question 16. The graph of y equals x to the power of 5 minus 70x minus 150 is sketched below. The root of the equation is p. So this is just telling us that where it crosses the x-axis, the value is p. Show that p is between 3 and 4. If we substitute 3 into this equation, we should get a value lower than 0. We substitute 4 in, we should get a value larger than 0. So let's substitute both of these in. So substituting x is 3, so we have 3 to the power of 5 minus 70 times by 3 minus 150. So let's put this into the calculator and see what we get. 3 to the power of 5 minus, that'll be 210 minus 150 gives me negative 117. I'm going to swap this 3 with a 4, so x is equal to 4 this time. Now I've got 4 to the power of 5 minus, it'll be 280 minus 150 gives me 594. Because this one is below the x-axis, it's a negative, and this one gives me a value above the x-axis, positive. That means there's a change of sign, and the value of p is somewhere between them. So we can say there is a change of sign, just means it's gone from negative to positive. Therefore, p lies between 3 and 4. Part B, find a smaller interval that contains the value of p. Show calculations to support your answer. So we just need to be a little bit more specific. Right now, we know it's between 3 and 4, but we just need to make it a bit more clear where it is. So I'm going to start off by substituting 3.5 and see what we get. So I'm going to change this to 3.5. I'll rewrite this as 70 times by 3.5. And that gives me 130.218. So y is equal to 130. I'll just leave it like that. Because this is a positive, I'm going to substitute a value smaller than that until I get a negative. So let's try 3.4. That gives me 66.35. I'm looking for another change of sign here. So right now I'm still with my positive, so I want to try and find a negative. So 3.3. That gives me 10.35. So x equals 3.3, y equals 10. Let's try 3.2. That gives me a negative, which is what I want. So when I substitute 3.2 into here, I get negative 38. So that's telling me the root is somewhere between 3.3 and 3.2. So I'll write 3.2 and 3.3. Question 17. Hero invests £2,500 for 2 years in a bank account paying R% per year compound interest. At the end of 2 years, the amount in the bank account is 2,704. Calculate R. So we're going to be using the compound interest formula here. So compound interest, we take the original amount, we multiply it by a decimal multiplier, and we raise that to the amount of repetitions that there are. Let's substitute the values that we know in. So we know the final amount will be 2,704. That is going to be equal to 2,500 multiplied by something, and because it's an increase, I'm going to do 1 plus something, I'll call that r. And that's going to be raised to the power, the amount of repetitions here, because it's 2 years, it's going to be to the power of 2. Just need to solve this equation. So right now, the right-hand side is being multiplied by this 2,500, so I'll move that over. 2,704 divided by 2,500 equals 1 plus r in bracket squared. The right-hand side is being squared, so I'm going to square root both sides. That gives me 2,704 over 2,500 is equal to 1 plus r. And then take away 1 from both sides. So the square root of 2,704 over 2,500 minus 1 is equal to r. This will tell me the decimal that's being added on here. So we type this in, got square root of 2,704 over 2,500, and we're taking away 1, which leaves me with 0.040. We need to remember this is in a decimal form right now. We need to change it into a percentage. So 0.040, to convert decimals to percentages, just times by 100. So that would move 2 places next to the 4, so it'd be 4%. So the compound interest that she's earning every year would be 4%. Question 18. A, B, and C are points on the circumference of a circle. A, B, and C. Points C and D lie on a tangent to the circle at C, so they're touching the circle just here. BCD equals 45, that's already there. ACB equals 58, that's already there. AB equals 8 centimeters, that's there. Find the length of BC. We're trying to find this length here. What angles could we work out given that we know this already? So I can see I'm going to be using circle theorems. The rule that I'm going to be using here is angles in alternate segments. So this is 45 degrees, so this angle will also be 45 degrees. And now I can think about how I could work out length of BC. I've got a side and I've got an angle opposite to it, and I've got an angle and I'm trying to find the side opposite to it. And it's not a right angle triangle, so that tells me I'm going to be using my sine rule. A over sine A is equal to B over sine B. And because we're trying to find a length, it's better that we have the lengths on the top. So let's substitute these values in. I know the length of this is 8. The side opposite to it is this 58, so sine 58 is equal to this length that we're trying to find, so I'll call it x over sine of b. B here is 45, so sine of 45. I can rearrange this to get x on its own by multiplying both sides by sine 45. So sine 45 multiplied by 8 sine 58 is equal to x. Let's type this in. So we have sine 45 multiplied by 8 over sine 58. That gives me 6.670. And I'll round it to 2 decimal places, so 6.67. Question 19. A fitness center records how long each customer spends in the gym. This cumulative frequency table summarizes the results. So we've got this table. Calculate an estimate of the mean time the customers spend in the gym. You must show your work in. You may use the table above to help present your work. They've already helped us by creating the table. We just need to figure out what goes inside. This is saying the people up to 10 will add up to 6. This is saying the people up to 20 will add up to 24. Let's just do the people between 0 and 10. So the people between 0 and 10 is just going to be 6, because there's only 6 so far. Then we'll do the people between 10 and 20. So those people will be 24, take away 6, which is 18. Then between 20 and 30, 35 take away 24 is 11. Then 30 and 40, 40 and 50, 50 and 60. Let's just work these out. So we've got 13 between those, 12 between those, and 14 between those. So we've already created our grouped frequency table. We need to find the midpoints of these. So the midpoint of this class interval between 0 and 10 is going to be 5. That'll be 15, that'll be 25, 35, 45, and 55. So I've got my frequencies and I've got my x value. We just need to multiply them both together to get our fx value. 6 times 5 is 30, and then I'll do the rest on my calculator. So 18 times 15, 11 times 25, 13 times 35, 12 times 45, and 14 times 55. So that's 770, 540, 455, 275, 270. we need to now add up all of our frequencies and all of our fx. So we'll do the fx column first. So I've got 30 plus 270, which is 300. So 300 plus 275 plus 455 plus 540 plus 770. That gives me a total of 2340. So we've got our total fx. We need to find the total frequency. But if we take a look here, we already have our total frequency. It would be 74. So we're doing the total fx divided by the total frequency. That gives me my final answer. So 2340 divided by 74, which gives me 31.62. 31.62. If I take a look at my table, I can see there's quite a few around here. It's about the middle, so this seems like an appropriate answer, 31.62. And the units would be in minutes. 20. This shape is formed from a rectangle and two sectors of circles. I've got this rectangle, and I've got this part of a circle and this part of a circle. Points A, B, and C lie on a straight line. That's a straight line. CBD equals 35. That's that angle. DE equals 5t, D to E equals 5t, and EF equals 2t. So they've put all of that onto the diagram. Explain why BC equals 2t. So we need to figure out why is this 2t. Give a reason for each step of your explanation. In the question, it tells us that this is a rectangle, so opposite sides of a rectangle will be the same. That'll be 2t. And if this is a sector of a circle, that part will be my radius, and that part will also be my radius. So we need to write those two pieces of information down. So the first step was BD equals 2t because opposite sides of a rectangle are equal. And say BC is the same as BD because they're both radii of the same circle. Part B, show that the perimeter of the shape is 23 over 12 pi t plus 14t. So we need to find the total perimeter. We can already see we've got a 2t and a 5t and that 2t. We could also figure this one out. If this length is 5t because of opposite sides, that length will be 5t. So the only lengths we need to find out are this curved part and this curved part. Let's first find this smaller one. What's the formula for arc length? It's theta, the angle, divided by 360 multiplied by 2 pi r. And this part is just the formula for circumference of a circle. So it's the proportion of a circle multiplied by the circumference of the circle. For this CD, we know that the angle is 35, and it's going to be over 360 multiplied by 2 pi times by r, and r is 2t. We'll simplify that, so that gives me 4 pi t multiplied by 35 over 360. That will give me that bit. I'm just going to multiply the 4 and the 35 over 360 so I can keep it in exact form. So 4 multiplied by 35 over 360, which gives me 7 over 18. So that's 7 over 18 pi t. I need to do the same thing for this other one. And because all of these are on a straight line, this angle is 90 degrees because it's a rectangle. These will add up to 180 because it tells 180, take away 35, take away 90. So 180 take away 125, which is 55. This angle is 55. So I just need to apply the same steps to find length AF. AF is going to be 55 over 360 multiplied by 2 pi multiplied by the radius, which is 5t. If I simplify that, I get 10 pi t multiplied by 55 over 360. Let's see what we get. So we have 10 multiplied by 55 over 360, which is 55 over 36. That's pi t. So now we have the length of AF and we have the length of CD. We can add up all of these together to find out what the circumference is. So 2t plus 5t is 7t. 7t plus 2t is 90. 90 plus 5t is 14t. So 14t plus, I need to add both of these. We'll see what we get. 7 over 18 pi t plus 55 over 36 pi t. I'm just going to do this bit on my calculator just so that it makes it a little bit easier. So I've got 7 over 18 plus 55 over 36. That gives me 23 over 12. So 14t plus 23 over 12. Lots of pi t. And I look at my answer, it's the same as the one that I'm trying to show. Question 21. Simplify fully x cubed plus 8x squared plus 15x over x cubed minus 9x. I can see all of these divide by x, so I'm just going to pull out x from both the top and the bottom and see what happens. So factorizing the top, pulling out x, gives me x squared plus 8x plus 15 over x squared minus 9. For this top one, I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to make 15 and add to make 8. So what would those be? I could write out my factors of 15. 1 and 15 wouldn't work. 3 and 5 would work. So that one would be x plus 3 and x plus 5. But I can cancel these x's out first. So I've got x plus 3 and x plus 5 on the top. And on the bottom, I can see this is going to be a difference of two squares. So in one of the brackets, it's going to be x plus 3. And in the other bracket, it'll be x minus 3. So if you've got square numbers in a quadratic, you might be able to do difference of two squares. I can also see that x plus 3 and x plus 3 will cancel out. So I'm just left with x plus 5 over x minus 3. That'd be my final answer. That's the end of the questions for today. I reckon you go through all of the questions, write down the topics that you struggle with before you attempt another past paper. Feel free to check out my channel for other video walkthroughs and other past paper solutions, including the ones from this year's. See you soon.